Where is my headphones at? Sorry. I gotta find like something to place this on. Haha. That works. Cool. Let me see if I can find. Let's see if my headphones are going. Can you hear me? See if you can hear me with these headphones. Can you hear me? Somebody give me a yes, you can. Please. Okay, cool. So, sorry I was like 2 minutes late. It's been an exhausting, rough day. So let's pray in. And just take a deep breath. Father God, I need you in this moment. We need you in every moment. But in this moment, please just grant me grace and mercy and fill my heart up and my spirit. Overflow me with love and light. Overflow us all with love and light. Just help us to be beneficial to others and do your work and be able to hear you more. Just want to hear you more. And wherever you want me to move, I want to move in that direction. Just guide my feet and my actions in the direction you want me to go. And allow that direction to be a light for others to find you. Just keep me in remembrance that everything we do is by your Spirit and your will, not my own. Allow me to carry your message. Keep my mouth closed and open up yours. And keep everyone's ears, including my own, closed and open up yours so we can hear you. And let people understand and hear you and not me. In your name, amen. I've been trying to run around and like get so much stuff done. Like I got home from work. I was talking to one of the guys, and then I went and met with a new guy today. And like I have to say, like I've been in this since this Corona COVID thing or whatever. So I've been in this position of like I didn't want to do nothing. So a new prospect calls me, and I'm just like, you know what? I really don't want to go. And I had my friend with me that I'm dropping off at the meeting before I go meet with a new prospect. And like in my heart, I'm just like, I don't want to do this. And then I remember what had took place where, Bill's talking about, amazingly uplifted with talking to a newcomer. And I was like, wow, I'm just going to do this. And I went and I did it, and man, do I feel amazing, man, just to have someone like awake and just like ready to like, man, I hear you, let's go, which is a great place to be in that desperate, hopeless feeling. So we've been going over a lot of stuff, man. We've been covering a lot of first step and second step stuff. We went over like emotional appeal and how like mom and the kids pulling on me and all that stuff doesn't work. We've been talking about the doctors and how the doctors don't have a solution. We're talking about the mental phenomenon, how like I convince myself to use even when it's not right for me to do, and I got the consequences and the experiences and I still do it. And learning just how like all these different things, all these human things and how gym, I get a job, I get my life on track, I got my family, which is reassembled, I start working for a concern on one's own, I fail to perfect and enlarge in my spiritual life as I've done every other time before this, and then I drink again. And we've been covering a lot, the first step is just a lot of information of emotional appeal, the unhuman. It doesn't matter what human aid I have. It doesn't matter what's going on in my life. Like I absolutely unable to stop, especially when I pick up. And then even when I do stop and I don't have anything in my system, I still convince myself to do it anyway, with the consequences and the experiences that tell me otherwise. I still end up doing it. So then we go over to the second step and we went over that in detail of like, man, if there ain't no human solution, then where is it at? And I was talking to a guy today who was like, well, it's, in agnostics and, it's kind of like, you don't have to believe or whatever, and you don't have to, even believe in anything or whatever. And he was talking about, he mentioned We Agnostics, and I'm just like, did you read We Agnostics? Nothing against anyone or even that particular fella. It's just like, yo, the whole We Agnostics is telling us, like, faced with alcoholic destruction, we become open-minded on spiritual things. Because if I'm going to stay in this agnostic and atheism, then I'm gonna face alcoholic destruction. And thank God, like I'm at least willing, which is the second step. Like at least I'm willing to believe in something. At least I'm willing. And we're not talking about a physical thing, And we're about to embark on a third step journey. So we're on chapter 5, How It Works, which is page 58. That's cool. So we're on page 58 on chapter 5, and first sentence of the paragraph. Rarely, and it said never. Rarely have we seen the person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. So much for the look to your left, look to your right, somebody's not going to make it, and all that stuff, as we described before with the 50% got sober at once, 25% sober after some relapse, and out of the remainder, 2 out of 3 of them came back, which is the odds of the program, and this is the odds, not the statistics. Rarely, which Bill wanted to say never, have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest, underline honest, with themselves. Honest with themselves. It's not like, honesty, the how of the program. Remember we talked about how isn't really how, it's who. Willingness, honesty, and open-mindedness, not honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Because no one's like really honest, and we're not talking about the same honesty. We're talking about honesty with myself, not other people at the moment. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands, underline, rigorous honesty. Underline rigorous honesty, and next to it I wrote about the allergy. I'll give you a second. Demands rigorous honesty about the allergy. So it's not being honest like the type of honest of honey, does my butt look fat in these jeans? Yeah, yup, being honest, We're not talking about that type of honesty. We're talking about honest with myself about the allergy. I pick up and I cannot put it down. There's no way for me to stop, and there's no way for me to put it down as soon as I put a drink in me. That's the honesty we're talking about, the honesty with myself. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders. But many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Honest with who? Honest with themselves about the allergy that it's impossible for them to use. It doesn't matter if I have a mental disorder or some handicaps mentally or emotional disorders or whatever. We let me say we have the capacity to recover if we had the capacity to be honest with ourselves about the allergy. I highlight this next paragraph because it talks about the stories, which I like. And if you ever asked to speak at a meeting, what should you be speaking about? Here we go. Our stories disclose in a general way what I used to be like, what happened, and what I am like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked, like stopped in the middle, like when a pitcher is going to act like he's going to throw to the base but doesn't, runner takes a base, or he drops the pitch, or he drops the ball, or whatever. It's a balk pitch, so it's kind of like a stop in the middle of. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, didn't we? But we could not. Nope. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start, from the door. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas. I underline old ideas. And the result was nil until we let go of the old ideas. Absolutely. The result was nil, man, until I let go of the ideas that I got this, I could find another way. Here's how I'll do it. If I just use this with that, or if I mix this, and then if I just move away, I gotta let go of all that. Absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol and drugs, cunning, baffling, powerful, and I even write tricky. My old sponsor came up with that one, and it's the truth. Cunning, baffling, powerful, and tricky. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one, capital O, who has all power, and that one is God. May you find him, capital H, now and in every moment. And the original manuscript said, you must find him now and in every moment. In the car, right now, in the shower, going to bed, on my way to work, while I'm at work, on my way home from work, on the porch, working with another person, always trying to find God in every moment. At the red light, especially when the dude next to me cut me off, all that stuff. Have to find him, man. I want to find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Man, I'm letting go absolutely of my ideas. I'm done. You got it. I don't, man. I'm willing to let go absolutely and ask for his protection and care with complete abandon. I am done. Here are the steps that we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. I underline suggested, and I write next to it a subtle command. That's the suggestion. The suggestion is a subtle command. So it's kind of like we're going skydiving. I suggest you wear a parachute. 1. We admitted that we are powerless over alcohol and that our lives have become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. You could put a line between 5 and 6, because after the 4th step, it's going to ask you to consider the first 5 proposals after we get done on the 5th step. It's going to ask you to review the first 5 proposals to see if you made good cement, and if like you left out or skipped on the sand or whatever. So it's going to ask you if you did these after your 5th step. So you can put a line through there so you can review them in your power hour. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings, good and bad. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. We'll get into that when we get there. 10, continue to take personal inventory when we are wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him. I'm trying to prove my conscious contact with God as we understood him. Praying only for knowledge of his, capital H, will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had, past tense, it already happened. If you're having an issue with all this stuff, by the time you get to this point, you won't. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried, best we can do, to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Don't be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is, we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. I'm just trying to get better. Now, that's not an excuse to continue to do some madness that you know is madness, but you continue to do it anyway, knowing it's wrong and like got a choice in the matter. It's not what we're talking about. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear three pertinent, very important ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. Do we agree? Yes. Have we made a decision that I am an alcoholic and I definitely can't manage my own life? And we're not talking about just the outside stuff. I'm talking about manage even my thoughts. Knowing the consequences and the experiences that I have, I still will go and do it anyway. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. Go to the doctors. We can all leave here and go to our local department of ER. Go to the ER department and say, hey, so what do you do for the alcoholic or the drug addict that comes in and ODs or is facing out or in kidney or liver failure? And we get their vitals stable and we send them home. You know, everybody's going to try to send you here. This is where it all ends, you know. No human power could have relieved our alcoholism, and we have that experience, and we went over this in full detail of I got the girl didn't work, the medication didn't work, the therapy didn't work, the counselor didn't work, maybe helped with some stuff but didn't help with everything. Wife and the therapist didn't work. Going to sanitariums and health farms, changing my environment, moving away, trying different substances and medications, you name it, getting a better job, going to school, emotional appeal, a better philosophy and morals and on life, all that stuff. Nothing worked. C, that God could and would if he were sought. That God can and will if he were sought. Do I believe that? So it says, being convinced. We are at step 3. The original manuscript said, are you convinced? So being convinced. If you're not convinced, this is what the original manuscript said. If you're not convinced of these things, alcoholic, could not manage my own life, probably no human power could have relieved my alcoholism, and that God can and will if he were sought. Am I convinced of those things? If you are not convinced of those things, the original manuscript, just saying, said reread the book or throw it away. That's what the original manuscript said. If you're not convinced, reread, go back to the beginning, or throw the book away. Being convinced, we were at step 3, which is that we decided to turn our will and our life, it is not mine no more, over to the care of God as we understood him. Just what do we mean by that, and just what do we do? That will be answered on page 62. So, first requirement is that we be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. Every time I do it myself, it turns out bad. On that basis, we are almost always in collision with someone or somebody, even though our motives are good. Most people try to live by self-propulsion. Each person is like an actor, I love this, who wants to run the whole show. Doesn't that sound like us? Is forever trying to arrange the lights, the ballet, and the scenery, and the rest of the players in his own way. If his arrangements would only stay put and people would do as I wished, if only people would do as he wished, the show would be great. Everybody, including himself, would be pleased because everything's going exactly how I think it should. Life would be wonderful. And in trying to make these arrangements, Matt may sometimes be quite virtuous. Underline all this because it's going to be very important for the 6th step. He may be kind, considerate. Matt may be patient and generous, even modest and self-sacrificing. On the other hand, Matt may be mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest. But as with most humans, he is more likely to have varied traits. My disease controls my behavior. Mom, I need $20. Okay. I'll get it in a minute. And I'll be patient, and I won't say anything. Like, okay, do you need me to do anything? Yeah, clean the dishes, because, of course, she's trying to get all she can out of the show, too, which is what we're about to read. Yeah, cut the grass. I got you. I'm like, okay, cool. Cut the grass. Nice. Hey, Mom, you look nice today. Yeah. You need anything? You know, you need $20, you know. Just need a couple bucks. Cigarettes. She knows darn well it ain't for no cigarette. I need some cigarettes, Mom. And I'll be mean and patient, right, and kind, and I'll do stuff for her. And then if she says no, what? All the stuff I do for you, and I get mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest. I already cleaned it. I ain't cleaned nothing. Sound familiar? But as with most humans, we're very likely to have varied traits. What usually happens? What usually happens to Matt is my life doesn't go off very well. I begin to think that life doesn't treat me right. I decide to exert myself more. I become on the next occasion still more demanding or gracious, whatever the defect needs to be. As the case may be, still, his life, my life, does not suit me. Admitting that I might be somewhat at fault, I am sure, positive, that other people are much more to blame than I am. I become angry, indignant, and self-pitying. What is my basic trouble? Am I not really a self-seeker trying to get what I can and trying, even when I'm trying to be kind, considerate, generous, and patient? Am I not a victim of the delusion that I can rest, W-R-E-S-T, which means I had to look all this stuff up in sponsorship, all that stuff. Rest, that I pulled away with a twisted motion. I had to rest. I'm going to pull away with a twisted motion, satisfaction and happiness out of this world if I only manage well. Is it not evident? Is it not evident to all the rest of the players that these are the things that I want? And do not my actions make each of them wish to retaliate, snatching all that they can get out of the show? Yeah, I got you on $20. Cut the grass, do the dishes, clean the kitchen, and paint the house. I got you. Is he not, even in his best moments, a producer of confusion rather than harmony? Our actor is self-centered, egocentric, as people like to call it nowadays. He is like the retired businessman who lolls in the Florida sunshine, and I'm in Florida, in the winter and complaining about the sad state of the nation. The minister who sighs over the signs of the 20th century. Politicians and reformers who are sure all would be utopia if the rest of the world would only behave. The outlaw safecracker who thinks society has wronged him. That is me. Oh my gosh, I go to jail and I got a dirty urine and committed a crime and I get a violation of probation and I'm in jail talking and they like, Matt, what you here? What you do? And I say, man, I ain't do nothing. The PO, man, had it out for me, man. She just like every time, man, she pisses me every week, man. She's crazy. Yeah, I stole the money, but like I needed to feed my kids. I was hungry, man. Like I was trying to help my people out. We needed to pay rent. The outlaw safecracker who thinks society has wronged him. And the alcoholic who has lost all and is locked up. Selfishness, self-centeredness. Whatever our protestations, are not most of us concerned with ourselves, our resentments, and our self-pity? Hell yeah, it's about us. Selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is the root of our troubles. I got these bushes right out front of my house, and they're I forget what they're called. I don't know, they got stickers on them or whatever. So anyway, I cut, me and my dad, well, my dad really did it. Let me stop lying. My dad did it. I just helped. Cut it all the way down to the root. I mean, literally to the root. It's about this thick at the root of it. And I wish I could show you, it's not light outside right now. I got beautiful bushes out there. They're tiny, they're small. I keep them trimmed. I cut it back. I cut all the parts off that I don't want there. Whatever you call that, pruning it. Ha, got it. So we call it pruning it. And I pruned the bush, and now it's a bush. If you cut off the leaves of all the trees, all the branches that had leaves on it, it grows back. You cut off all the branches of it, that like the main branches, believe it or not, it grows back. You cut it down to the stump, eventually, the roots are good and it's getting food, plant food, it will grow back. How many times have you seen a stump growing? You know? So I got to get rid of it at the root. Selfishness and self-centeredness, that's the root of my troubles. Driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity. We step on the toes of my fellows and they retaliate. I mess with the world and the world messes with me back. Sometimes they hurt us seemingly without provocation. But we invariably find that at some time in the past, we have made decisions based on self, which later placed us in a position to be hurt. I have a friend back in the day. Anyway, before Crystal passed away, we went home and we were at my mom, or we went to a motel. I had some money at the time. I was making good money then, and then I started blowing it and using. And so we go home and we're trying to find real drugs and alcohol and stuff, and then we go and I'm in the motel. I got the motel for like a week, and my friend calls me over there and he's like, yo man, because I just lost my brother. He just lost his brother Eddie Mayhans. It was like my brother growing up, and he just lost his brother, and he died around the same time. One was a murder, one was a OD. And he called me. He was like, yo man, just come over, man, please just come over. So, you know, I got somebody here. I'm all by myself. And I left the motel, which I had already bought, and I didn't want to, but I left and I went over there. And me and her went over there, and then the next morning we wake up, he asked me where a television is. And I said, what do you mean, where's the television? It's right here. We're watching it. He goes, no, the one downstairs. And I said, okay, I already knew where this was going. I had packed all my stuff up from Florida and went back to Delaware, so I grabbed all my TV and I gave it to him. I said, here, you know what? Here's a TV. Don't say nothing to me. I'm done. You know? And then calls me later and says that some of his mom's jewelry was missing. And I'm like livid. I'm livid. I'm so angry and upset. Why? How could he do this to me? This is my friend. Like we just experienced this trauma and this loss together. How could he possibly do this to me? And I'm so upset and so mad. And I know what's going on, right? Because that's what we do. And you know, we caught up and we blame and all that stuff, right? For stuff that we do. And I get it. But I didn't get it then. And instead of me being the friend, right? Instead of saying like, yo, it's my friend. I grew up with him my whole life. Instead of saying, yo, like, do you need anything else? I was completely on that. That's what I should be saying. Like, is there anything else you need? You know, you can have it all, man. That's what I should be. You know, but I'm like, oh, this mother F, no, he didn't. And I'm threatening him and stuff like that. And then I start doing inventory this time around, right? This year's inventory, I was just like, I went through and I was like, oh my gosh. You know, and I made amends to him last few times I went home. I made several approaches. And I remember when we were kids, he needed bail money. His mom came for me for bail money, and I had it. And I said I didn't. He knew. Talked bad about his baby's mom. I punched him in the face. I talked bad about him behind his back. I remember he used to cut my hair, and I remember going to the barbershop, and I had money, and I would, talk to him because he's my friend, and then run out on him, and that's his livelihood, and he's just like trying to pay his bills and like get on his feet, yet I'm running out and not paying him for a haircut. And I did all this stuff, and so I do all this stuff to him, and of course, I set the ball rolling, but it took inventory for me to find that. For me to understand that I set the ball rolling. So, self-thinking run riot. And basically of our own making, they arise, So our troubles, we think, are basically of our own making. They arise out of ourselves. And the alcoholic is an extreme example of self-thinking, self-will, run riot, though we usually don't think so. Above everything, we alcoholics must, it's a huge word, circle, underline, whatever, must be rid of selfishness. We must, or it kills us. That is a promise. God makes that possible. And there often seems no way entirely. How are you going to get rid of your thinking? How am I going to go and say, oh, you know what, I'm going to do something different when I've never done anything different? God makes that possible, and there often seems no way of getting entirely rid of yourself without his aid. How am I going to get rid of myself? A human can't get rid of my thinking. I can't get rid of my thinking. But he can. Many of us had moral and philosophical convictions galore, did we not? But we could not live up to them, even though we would have liked to. I would have liked to have been a nice guy and a good parent and be in my daughter's life and have a nice job and a white picket fence and a nice neighborhood, Neither could we reduce our self-centeredness much by wishing or trying on our own power. We have to. If you have to do something, you got to do it. We have to have God's help. He's the man. This is the how and the why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. Next, you can underline, highlight this. This is a third step decision. Next, we decided that hereafter in this drama of life, God was going to be our director. He is the principal. We are his agents. You can underline, he is the director. You can underline principal. We are his agents. He is the father. We are his children. Underline that. Most good ideas are simple. And this concept was the keystone. The keystone which holds the arch. The keystone is the stone that goes in the center of the arch of the new and triumph arch through which we would pass to freedom. This is the keystone, man. Letting go. God, you got it. And that's, come on in then. When we sincerely took such a position, all sorts of remarkable things followed. We had a new employer, being all powerful. He provided what we needed, even if we kept close to him and performed his work well, which is the rest of the work I wrote next to that. His work well, I'm going to do the rest of the work, which is going to get me to doing his work. Bottom line. Established on such footing, we became less and less interested in ourselves, our little plans and designs. More and more we became interested in seeing what we could contribute to life, as we felt new power flow in, as we enjoyed peace of mind. This is all the truth. As we discovered we could face life successfully, as we became conscious of his presence, we began to lose our fear of today, tomorrow, and the hereafter, and we were reborn. This is the honest to God truth and what happens in the third step. This is what happens when I let him, yo, I am done, you got this. Which of course is going to lead me to whatever you want me to do, and you want me to do the rest of the work in this 4-step in inventory because I don't want to be blocked from you. Let's go. It puts me in a position, I'm letting you do this, and this is what I'm doing. Let's go. Inventory, come on. So at the top of the page here on 63, you can put a line right through there. We're going to go still continue, but you can put a line right there. This is normally where I would stop with a guy, and you can stop here if you haven't done this or you want to experience this or whatever. You can stop here. We're going to continue, but I'll show you what we would do. I stop here, and on the top of the page, on page 63, I write the director and the actor. I write principal and agent. And I write father and the child. So I would do it in 3 days, right? The first day, wake up, and we're just trying on relationships with God. We're trying on different relationships. They're all seem the same, but it's the relationship, not the action. It's not about the action that I take. It's about the relationship. All right. Director, actor. Directors are like, okay, you got the movie producer produces the money. He's the money man. You got executive producer, which makes sure the money goes to where it needs to go. Then you got the director, and the director calls the shots. Yo, I need this cord placed 6 inches to the left. The whole place moves to get that cord moved 6 inches to the left. Yo, Al Pacino, I need you to walk 6 steps, turn left, put your head down, and shed a tear. And that's what he does. He calls all the shots. I need 8 blue Skittles. And if they don't have 8 blue Skittles, you better know what he wants, right? If you don't have 8 blue Skittles, there's a whole crew of people waiting outside for you not to have 8 blue Skittles and to mess up. Everybody gets fired, new crew comes on, and guess what they got in their pocket? Blue Skittles. A whole bag of them. Because they know what the director wants. They know this director. This is director such and such. I know exactly what he wants. I know him to the T. I know everything about him. Relationship with God, I want to know everything about him. I want to know what he wants. But the director and actor thing is like, yo, you call the shots. You want how do you want me to play in your movie, God? What do you want me to do in your movie? Day 2, principal agent. Jay-Z comes to town. I know what he wants. I'm his agent. He just calls me and says, Matt, this is not true, by the way. Some of you might think that it is, but it's not. I'm done with the music thing for now. Probably forever. So this dude says, Jay-Z calls me, says, Matt, and I'm his agent, just per se. He says, Matt, I need you to come, or I'm coming to Florida. And I'm like, cool, when? He says, tomorrow. Cool. That's all I need to hear. The phone hangs up. I don't need to know nothing else because I know. I know when he's coming in. I'll check his flight. He don't have to say nothing else, but I'm coming. I know exactly where he wants. He wants to be in the breakers at this motel. He wants his room to face this way, facing the sea. He wants Johnny to come pick him up in the Bentley. He wants this to eat on this day. He wants that to eat on this day. He's going to have her with him. I know exactly what he wants, and where he wants it. So I know what he wants, and I'm his agent. What do you want me to do? Then you got things like You got the general, you know. What's the general want me? What would he have me do? Matt, I need you to do this. He's the principal. I'm the agent. I need you to go on to this ship with 3 men. I need you to take this hostage and bring him back, you know. And I know exactly what he wants me to do, and I need to do that, and I want to perform his work well. And I'm just trying on different relationships with God. And then we got the father and the child, you know. Like, I don't always know what my dad wants, you know. I always think I got the right way, and this is like my best one. I always think I know the right way, and I don't. You know, my dad has my best interests at heart. My father knows what he wants from me, you know, and I have to listen to his direction. Sometimes I don't want to, but I listen to his direction. You know, so we're just trying on different relationships with God, and they're all basically trying to know what God will want from me, but it's just the relationship: director, actor, principal, agent, father, child. All right, and that's what we would do. So you can go back or stop, you know, here if you want, and then review the rest of this later. However, we're going to continue. The next thing that we do in our lineage is we are now at step 3. After I find my relationship with God, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, man. And we asked him, my sponsor, he says, yo, man, father, child. And I'm like all 3 sometimes. But if I say father, child is my favorite, you know. I don't always know, but I'm willing, no matter, even if it looks bad and feels like I'm getting disciplined or something like that, I know that eventually it's going to turn out well for me. So father, child is mine, just to let you know. Who are you more likely to take direction from would be really the question. We were now at step 3. Many of us said to our Maker, as we understood him, God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do your will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I will help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do your will always. So this is the 3rd step prayer that the book has revealed. We write our own 3rd step prayer. So this is where the bring to mind prayer comes up, and I ask God to bring to mind, and what I would ask the sponsee to do is it's kind of like all this could be one thing. As soon as he calls me and lets me know what his relationship is, boom, I'm putting him right on this, and I'm like, yo, so this is what you would do. Rewrite your 3rd step prayer, read it, voice the same thing but in your own words, you know. Put it in your own language and express that idea, same type of idea to God if you really mean it, you know. And then I ask God, please bring to mind my 3rd step prayer. Pen hits the pad, and whatever comes out, comes out. My 3rd step prayer is this. God, please guide my thinking and my actions in the direction that you want me to go. And may that direction be a light for others to find you. Thank you for saving my life and awakening my spirit. I will go wherever you'll have me go, and I'll do whatever you'll have me do. Just keep me in remembrance that everything that I say and I do is by your power and not my own. Amen. It's my 3rd step prayer. It's a pretty prayer. Thank you, God. So after you rewrite your 3rd step prayer, we move on. Let me see where we'll get. Let me see where we're at. Yeah, we're gonna have to bring this up. So we found it desirable, right? Well, we thought well before taking this step, making sure we were ready. I am ready to turn my will and my life over to the care of God. Just like I said before, I remember being in that position of looking at the church and everybody around me, and like I made my decision then. And it happened a few times. I remember a particular time where it was Crystal in it, and I did voice that same type of third step prayer, but I did it right here actually. I'll show you. I did it right there on the floor, and I was right back there in my room, and I felt something had happened, and I knew Crystal was gone. And I remember, man, it's still tough, man. I'm trying. Hold on. So I remember, I felt something on the inside internally, and I was just like, let me call her. So I tried to call her, and her voice, it was just like, it wasn't no voicemail or nothing. It was just like going to like an answering thing. So I texted her friend. I said, please tell me Crystal's okay. And she said, no, Matt, she's not. She passed away last night. And I fell apart. I fell apart. I was sober. I was like 7 months sober at the time. And I was like living this life and doing this, and like I wasn't angry or nothing. I immediately started to talk to her because I felt her. I knew. No one called me and told me that she passed away. She came and told me. And I remember calling out to her and saying, baby, and I remember I felt her tell me she was scared and she didn't know where she was, right here in this room. And I was like talking to her, and I was like, baby, you can find God there. Don't let them things lie to you, because if you know my story, I've had multiple experiences with flatline, and I've been in some very spiritual experiences that weren't good, and I knew it was a bad place where I was or whatever. Anyway, I ain't gonna get into all that and freak you out. I'm just saying, I felt like I knew where she was, and I was like, babe, you can find the spirit there. Don't let them things lie to you and tell you you can't. And then I felt her comfort. I felt her comfort from me talking to her. And then afterwards, I got on my knees right here, and I wept, and I prayed, and I begged God. I said, God, please, I'll go wherever you want me to go, and I'll do whatever you want me to do for the rest of my life. You just take her, and I will do it. And an hour later, I get same thing in my head. Check your messages. And I'm thinking, what is that? So I listen. Thank God I'm awake to listen. And I started to look at my text messages, and I was like, where are you at? And she said, somewhere over the rainbow, silly. And this message didn't mean anything when we had the conversation, but it meant something to me now. So I said, where are you at? She said, somewhere over the rainbow, silly. And I said, is there bright blue skies? And she said, yup, and the grass is way greener too. And I just was like, thank you. Thank you for taking her. And like he showed me that he took her. And now like my honor and like turning my will in my life is like wake up every day, man, reporting for duty, sir. What do you want me to do? And I mean it. Where do you want me to go? Sometimes I feel like I don't mean it, but if I'm telling you, if I see and I know it's a God calling, I am going. Going. The most sordid place on earth. I don't care. I will go. Where do you want me? I'll do whatever you want me to do. Beautiful third step experience. In the same week, I remember driving and like losing the fear of death. I mean, so much, all this stuff happened to me. I felt new power flow within, enjoyed peace of mind. I discovered that I could face life successfully, even in the loss of my significant other. I was able to face life. I became conscious of his presence and began to lose fear of today, tomorrow, and the hereafter. I even lost the fear of death. I remember driving without my seatbelt. I'm just telling you the truth from my experience. I remember driving without my seatbelt on 95, and I was just like, I don't even care. And I felt this rich ease. And I don't mean like I was ready to go. I was ready to die. And I don't mean like it might have had something to do with like wanting to see her, but it didn't. That's not what I'm talking. I'm not talking about like suicidal ready to die. I meant like I would rather have died at that moment than risk living on and losing him again. I don't ever want to be without God. I just don't, you know. And you know, humans and especially me, I mess everything up, and like I would have rather had died at that moment where I felt him so deep and in me than risk living on and mess up somewhere and lose God or turn my back on him. We found it. Man. We thought well before taking this step, making sure that we were ready, that we could at last abandon ourselves utterly to him. Abandon myself. I'm in a car and the police are chasing me. I'm not waiting for 90 police cars to come. I'm not waiting for the helicopter. This is just the truth. I'm pulling away to where I get running distance and I'm jumping out of the vehicle. I don't care if it's still in drive. I'm abandoning the vehicle and I'm getting away. And that's the same thing I have to do with myself. My selfish and self-centeredness. We found it very desirable to take this spiritual step with an understanding person. And hopefully, like on page 18, you already found that understanding person is something about his eyes, that Ebby Thatcher type of dude that's awake, whose walk is matching his mouth. At least he's trying his darndest to do so. Take this spiritual step with an understanding person, such as your wife, best friend, or spiritual advisor. There wasn't a sponsor back then when this was written. But it is better to meet with God alone than with one who might misunderstand. The wording was, of course, quite optional. That's why we rewrite a third step. So long as we express the idea, voicing it without reservation. This was only a beginning, though if honestly and humbly made, an effect, sometimes a very great one, was felt at once. You could put a line right here. We're going to stop there. And see if you can follow the instructions. Rewrite your third step prayer. I'd actually like to hear some of them, man. And director, actor, principal, agent, father, child. And next, you see what it says. So we're about to embark on this inventory thing. Let me see where we're at real quick before I make an explanation. So look, when we get into this inventory thing, I'm not like trying to take anybody through inventory. I'm just going to give you the way that it happened for me, and I promised that I would take you through the work like I would a sponsee. However, I can't spend time on certain things. However, I want you to know, like the first three steps are so important. One goes into two, two goes into three, and if it doesn't, and I'm just doing this inventory stuff, I can easily write inventory and go into inventory just to write. I can go in this stuff and start writing and just to be a writer, right, and write some stuff just to say I did it. Or if I'm already having this experience where like I'm turning my will over and I want this and I desire that more than anything, I'm writing inventory to have an experience, which is a huge difference from just writing inventory. So, let's stop there. I'll see you guys Tuesday, and we'll get into some really cool stuff, man. So I would say bring a pen and a pad, just to see what's up. All right, just in case. All right, God bless y'all. Have a good night, and may the Lord be with you. Amen.